My new thing fits in a clock, wakes in a car, pulls on my brain. Are you ready to see? This is my new thing. Are you ready to see? This thing is my new thing. Shyness will show, excitement will glow. I'm sharing this thing. That thing is my new thing.
Hi, friends. It's Dan Wilbur.
And Zach Sims, and you're listening to My New Thing, the show where comedians and sometimes directors talk about their latest obsession.
And sometimes saints, people who get on that flotilla with Greta Thunberg and deliver aid to people. Places I would never go because I'd be worried about being killed. That's what our guest did before he made a movie about it.
That's true. We'll just get it out of the way that Dan is really horny for this guy.
I'm sitting here in my stupid suburban life being like, what can I do? Oh, who do I vote for? And meanwhile, our guest, Brandt Andersen, who is a director and activist, is getting on a plane and going to Haiti as soon as he finds out there's an earthquake and delivering aid to people. And so I just think, first and foremost, we should say his main credit is being a man with soul who cares about people who are in need.
That's right. Lick that up, Sean Penn. You're
Yeah, you were in the Ukraine? Yeah. Oh, big deal. Big deal.
You're not the only hot guy handing out bags of stuff to people in need. There's others in town. But we had a great conversation with Brandt, and it was in the movie, which is called I Was a Stranger. It'll be released pretty widely in January, and really powerful film. Very great, also just thrilling and great action sequences. We talked about it in depth.
And I feel
Brandt.
like we didn't gush enough, even though we did gush.
Well, yeah, of course you feel
and
that
I
way,
know
Dan,
you're just saying that I got an erection for this man. He's gonna listen to this, you know. He's gonna hear this.
Well, you think he couldn't tell? You think he couldn't tell the way
he's living? He's living his best life, and he also made a movie that sort of blew us away. I think both of us had low expectations when we're going to have somebody on, and because because our last guest was a guy who quit comedy, who's our good friend. So if he sent us a movie and said, "Hey, will you check out my movie?"
Yeah, sure.
It's about cooking. We'd be like, "Oh God!" And this one was just like an action thriller that's also about humanizing refugees, and it was really fantastic. And I
there
hope
is
you all
something in the world of comedy, or in our world, most of the time when somebody asks you to watch something they've done, it's terrible. So I do get
exactly it.
I've read plenty of scripts.
You should see my TikTok DMs. My TikTok DMs are just people like, "Will you share this?" And I'm like, "It's bad. You don't want me to share this."
And I guarantee you, none of those motherfuckers could pull off the glasses Brandt was pulling off. My God, what a legend in many ways. But yeah, a phenomenal conversation. But now, before we get into that, I just have to give a quick pie update. Last week, I announced that I was breaking my pie cherry by making a non-cherry pie.
Good stuff.
Made a pecan pie. And once again, so I have a few thoughts. And I said I was making a pecan pie, which is pretty much the pie I like. My takeaway, as always with baking, is that it's not that hard and no one should be impressed. Specifically, pecan pie, where now if you're making your own crust, of course, you're making your own crust, then you're living on a higher plane than me. But when you're not making your own crust, you literally mix 6 things together. You put pecans on the crust, you pour your liquid over the pecans, and you put it in the oven for an hour. That's it. And then you have
liquid.
well, I will. Then you have a pecan pie, and one of my favorite things about a pecan pie is that every bite you are actively closer to death. Yep. You feel your blood slow. You have to take breaks. It has to be like something you eat throughout the day. Little one bites at a time. It is. Would you say it is the most decadent of all desserts. I mean, maybe a lava cake.
It is one of the most decadent ones, especially when you consider that, as I told you last time, I've just been eating the pecans.
Yeah,
Just candied
sure.
pecans. So if you add candied pecans to a liquid sugar sludge,
Yes.
plus pie crust, that has to be the most decadent. The most decadent is if you heat it up a little bit and you put some vanilla ice cream next to it. You do a
Sure.
little a la mode. Then you're really asking for it.
And I'm just going to say this, and I know maybe it's not politically correct to say, but if you're having ice cream with your pecan pie, I don't want to hear your opinions on anything.
Well, I gotta quit the podcast. 'Cause I did hot apple pie a la mode all week.
Have a little respect.
I'm gonna tell you though, if it makes you feel better, I did get my first migraine of the month. So
Yeah.
I had been eating like fucking egg whites and bananas and nothing else. Just
Sure,
juicing.
of course.
And then all of a sudden it's Thanksgiving and I'm like, well, I got to eat this pumpkin bread and I got to eat the pie for breakfast. And then I woke up when I finally went off that and I was like, why do I feel terrible?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you ruined your body.
Pie for breakfast is the guy, the unemployed man's delight. There's a real why try there. But I did have a little bit. So corn syrup, I think, exists literally just for the making of pecan pie. So basically, the day before Thanksgiving is the one day of the year where dark corn syrup is hard to get. It's the only way it exists. So I couldn't find it the first day. So I made two pies. The first pie I made was with molasses. Mm-hmm. Now, grocery stores have plenty of molasses because they literally exist for 85-year-olds to make cookies that their grandchildren hate.
And there is a molasses that has an old lady on it. So
well, that's what I got, grandma's. Absolutely. Yeah. It's like, give this to your grandchildren while you tell them, how, the Depression was pretty rough, or share a terrible opinion that Brandt would probably make a film opposing. So I made that, and then it went okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't really understand that a pie doesn't get solid right away. So basically, I cooked it way too long, trying to get it to be solid. But you're still just eating the most disgusting thing in the world, and you're having a great time. So then I tried again, and I got dark corn syrup. It went very well. The only thing I just found this amusing. Corn, I mean, it's got to be one of the worst things you could ever put in your body. And the corn syrup people are so proud of the fact that it's not high fructose corn syrup, because we know that's bad. So they're putting it on all their labels like, don't worry, guys. There's no high fructose in this. You could bathe in this. It's perfectly healthy. And it is absurd that that's the only pie I like, because I have texture issues. So I'm sure I just like other pie, and I just haven't tried it. Because, like, you're right. You're literally just eating sludge. It's like sugar sludge. It's the worst texture of all. It's the gooey. It's not even cummish, So it's like its own thing.
It doesn't even have the consistency of cum.
Yeah.
How dare you?
It's its own world. But, my God, it was great, and we did finish it.
Congratulations.
Honestly, my girlfriend took the last bite, and after we record this, I'm going to sit her down and have a little talk about that.
Did she ask?
She did not, and she did not make the pie. But but also she does everything else. So, what am I going to do? I pay my rent. I like to make jokes. Just for the record, I pay my rent, and I pay half the bills. I like to make jokes. But anyway.
Every time you say it's not that hard to follow a recipe, I think about this character in Breaking Bad who has been watching them as a guard to stop.
I do kind of remember that. Yeah.
And it, not to spoil it, but they killed that guy immediately for memorizing the recipe and for being for other reasons. It's still exciting what happens to that guy.
Well, it wasn't a pecan pie recipe.
Yeah, it's sort of like that.
Yeah. What's worse for you? That's the real question.
That's true.
We should be asking.
Well, you get your heart pumping to have some crystal meth, but slow your heart.
No, that's a good, and you're on to something. I assume that's what you're saying. So if you have too much pecan pie and you find that you need that little pick-me-up, cut that with a little meth, Get a little meth in there.
Absolutely. You'll make 4 more pies. You'll be so excited to make them.
They won't taste good. They won't taste good.
No. It tastes like dirt.
A lot of different supplies. But Dan, what's your thing? What's getting you riled up?
Well, I wanted to tell you the funniest thing that happened over Thanksgiving was I ran the turkey trot and my leg was completely destroyed, but I ran it. I shaved some time off my miles.
Okay.
And right at the end, when we're all drinking beer at 10 a.m., after my pie, I had pie before the race, and then I had a beer. I'm going to die. They announced, I just thought you'd like this story. They announced over the loudspeaker, we have found a set of keys to a Mercedes. And me and a bunch of dads around me all made the same joke. We went, oh, I'm missing a Mercedes. And we all laughed and we high-fived and stuff.
Rub bellies.
And then I'm walking, I'm walking to my car, and I hear this guy talking to his mom. And this guy's like 60. And he's like, Mom, I'm sorry, while I was running, I dropped the keys. And so I don't know where the keys to your car are. And I turn and I go, what kind of car was it? And he goes, it was a Mercedes. And I go, they have them at the DJ booth. And the guy hugged me and he's like, you just saved me a world of hurt. And I was like,
yeah,
your mom was going to kill you over this Mercedes. You're an old man. I'm like, what are you doing?
How old is the mom? That's the question.
Yeah, that's the real question. She had him when she was 15. So she's just a couple years older. And, anyway, and then I thought, I had a great Zach thought. That's why I'm sharing it with you. I don't know why I think of you every time I write a decent joke. You should be flattered.
Think of a few reasons, yeah.
Is that I go, man, that was so heartwarming. That's exactly what Thanksgiving's all about. Helping the richest guy in my neighborhood with a minor inconvenience. But it really did, like, as I was experiencing it, I did feel like my heart warm a little bit. That I was like, I helped that guy out. And then I was like, wait a minute, I didn't help anyone.
Well, sure. But that is, empty gestures are what the holidays are all about, really. Yep. I don't know if you have a version of this. I feel like everyone has a version of the car that they associate with people being assholes. And when I lived in LA, I felt like anytime I got cut off, anytime somebody wouldn't let me in, it was a Mercedes.
Oh.
Yes. Some people it's a BMW.
BMW out here. On the East Coast, I think it is the BMW. Just riding your ass and then cutting you off.
Yeah.
You don't like
and then the Tesla, everybody's always nice. Yeah.
Well, the Prius.
Paul Reiser's back there. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. I always like to bring up that Paul Reiser.
That's the third time that we talked about Paul Reiser.
We'd love to get him on the show. But speaking of beautiful men in more ways than one, Dan, let's listen to the very talented, very, impressive Brandt Andersen.
But I would start because Zach wasn't here, I was just admiring the art behind Brandt's head.
Yeah.
He's got a Banksy back there.
Is that a Banksy?
Right there.
That one is right there. Yeah.
The heart? Is that
There's
heart a
couple of
Banksy?
them. That one
Okay.
is. That one is.
Dear
Yeah,
God.
there's one you can't see right there. Yeah. Yeah.
He's still alive, right?
That has been an obsession of mine for a while. Yeah.
Banksy?
Banksy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Banksy's art. He's just I love his passion and just the causes he's been associated with have been causes that have been stuff that I have cared a lot about. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say same.
Yeah, I've collected his art.
I agree with his politics, whatever I can glean from the art. But I also love that they made that movie that is very stupid in its own way. A satirization of the art world, the exit through the gift shop. That's when I became obsessed with him. Or them. We don't know.
Sure.
We don't know if it's a whole collective of people.
Now, is that an original Banksy? Is that I don't know how he works.
That one is an original right there. And then that one, which is in Maryland, it is a takeoff of a print. It's a print, but it's a takeoff of a print that he did. So it's kind of a limited edition print. And then I got a couple of others around the house here. I'm looking at a couple of others.
Now, I get why you probably can't, but it feels like if you buy a Banksy, there should be a meeting, no? It feels like you get an original Banksy, there should be some sort of underground tunnel where you get whisked away to shake his hand.
Like a handshake or something?
Yeah, absolutely. You could have a mask on. They'll just tell you it's his hand.
No, no,
Yeah, I can feel
even
it.
a bag over the head or
Yeah,
something.
sure.
There's none of that. I can tell you having a few, there's none of that that takes place. You get the privilege of buying. That's it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, yeah.
I
That's
was
Well,
just
it. That's all you
picturing
get.
when I was a kid and they took me to Las Vegas. My parents, you know how they'd be taking kids to Las Vegas
sure.
and teach them how to
Really?
gamble early. They do, there's a lot of stuff for kids to do. It's a big shopping mall, basically. And I was obsessed with magic, and they did take you into a secret back room behind, a bookshelf, teach you to do the trick. And I really did feel
Wow.
special, like they were showing me something they didn't show the other kids, which is scary to think about. But that is what I want that. I want the secret meeting with Banksy. I want the.
I mean, that a PG type situation that you were in back there in that
I mean,
secret
was
room,
I?
or was there something else going on
He
back
made
there? I
he
mean,
made me forget everything that happened. I just went into the room. I came
It's a
out a
fair
different
question.
person. Yeah, no, it was a trick where you stuck like a little piece of wax on a string and attached it to playing cards so you could make them float, and you could like spin them. That's about as far as I got. Didn't mean to reveal how a floating card trick works to everyone. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
I'm from
We get that.
Louisiana, so we would go to riverboat casinos. Not as playful. Not quite as fun of a vibe in the Mississippi riverboat casinos.
Just a guy
yeah,
jumping off the side
mostly.
as
Yeah.
soon as you walk out. Wow.
Now, Brandt, let's talk about this up top. First of all, we can edit this out. I will say again. I'm sure Dan said it. Movie's so good. Oh my God!
I hadn't said it
do
yet.
so much.
I hadn't
yeah,
said it
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Brand's been so
guys.
nice. He was like, "Oh, I like the show. I like your comedy," and I hadn't said yet that the
yeah,
movie
we didn't
is-
say that. We didn't say that on since we've been on, but yeah, I do. I love your show and love the comedy. You guys are great. You're doing
Oh,
great
great.
stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
we're out of time, but that's all we needed. Thank you. But okay, so I always feel like most artistically inclined people are often obsessive in some way as a kid. Was that similar for you? What was like an early thing that you were into growing up?
I mean, I'm glad that you said that it's just as a kid, like it doesn't carry forward as an adult.
Sure.
So thank you for not including me as an adult in that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been obsessive. As a kid, I was obsessed with like figurines early on. I collected Masters of the Universe
Oh
and
yeah.
Star Wars and GI Joes obsessively, obsessively. And then it turned into baseball cards, which unfortunately, I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but I happened to be during that period of like baseball cards when they had no value. So
Yeah.
like I still have them all, but they have no value. It's like ever since like the period before and the period after, they're worth so much money, but my period, they were like they overprinted
Oh
and
yeah.
they like, yeah, I mean they're worth nothing. They're trash. So it was like the steroid era and like
Sure.
they just yeah, they have no value whatsoever. So but yeah, so it was
Yeah.
like those were my two major obsessions as a kid. And I mean, and then it kind of turned into movies as I started to get older, which led to my career. And
Sure.
I mean, I had a few careers before it became movies, but it eventually kind of
Oh, we'll talk
got to
about
movies.
those. We will
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah,
them.
that was
The
something I wanted to talk about. But let me ask first of all, for junk wax era, just as a side note, that's what they call
yes.
that era of baseball cards. Junk wax.
Junk wax, that's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That is right. Yeah.
I went through a baseball card reconnection phase right before COVID, right before it started popping off again. And it was and I would get some from that era because my dad, was born in the late 80s, so I'm a 90s kid or whatever, but my dad had those cards, yada, yada. And I would get them, and they were very fun to buy like a box of like 92 tops.
Yeah.
And then you rip them like once, and you're just like, it's a real emptiness once it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Yeah. But it is fun. And I'll still buy a pack from time to time. But the GI Joe, the figurines. Were
Yeah.
you getting full size GI Joes? Because I remember that I got the little guys, but I know they made big ones as well at a time.
I was into the little guys.
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
those were the ones I was into. I'd buy them and then I'd take them and I would like set them up on rocks and I'd have the GI Joes fight the Masters of the Universe. I'd have the GI Joes fight the Star Wars. I would have these intergalactic wars between all of them. I mean, I and actually like is maybe as strange as that sounds, obviously not to you guys because you deal in this sort of magic, but I think that's where like probably my storytelling and my imagination really was able to flourish.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, these moments alone, of course, I didn't have a cell phone or anything like that, but I would create these whole stories and these worlds between all these guys and it allowed me to just kind of like have a whole imagination and worlds and create and create these whole like stories every single day. And I'd go get in a pool and we had this big fountain and I would just like set them up and battle and
Yeah.
it was a childhood.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
mean,
I
yeah.
when you first said figurines, I was picturing Warhammer. And that you were painting the figurines and it was more like Magic the Gathering and I was like, wow, this is a
Yeah.
true nerd. And then it was just normal stuff. That yeah, I had a lot of action figures. I had an obsession where I killed off one of my characters. This is like my
Oh.
first. I was like, I'm very proud of this now as an adult that I stuck with it. But it is what a sad child to be like this guy died in like a helicopter crash. I had a helicopter and this guy fell out, and then I was like, and now he goes in this drawer because he's actually dead. And like they
I like
all
that.
would bring it up every once in a while. All the other
I like
guys.
that. I
Now
like
I
that.
was in college when I did this, but yes,
You're like he is literally dead to me now.
Hmm.
He
he's
would go
dead.
away. He's out of
And
the universe.
yes, he's out of the universe, and the other characters would mourn him. Like
My
they would
God,
talk about him in the other fights. Like we got to
That's
do
dark.
this for that guy, and he's dead.
That's dark.
that is dark. I
Yeah,
I
that is
made
dark.
I made a little Star Wars wrestling league with my guys with some
Yeah.
GI Joes, which you could get. I'm sure you could. It was always this way, but you could get them at Rite Aid. It was K and B really, but Rite Aid. And there would sometimes be a force battle. There'd be like a special match if they were allowed to use the force. That was like kind of the big
Yeah.
twist
That's pretty
for
good.
Yeah.
me. And I had Ninja Turtles as well. Was a
Oh
big
yeah.
yeah. Now, are you collecting any of these? Like as a kid, was there any collection aspect of it, or we're just having a good time? We're getting these things, we're playing them.
What's the difference?
Well, did you take them out of the box? I guess would be the
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, mine all came out of the box.
Yeah, let them live.
Mine all
Yeah.
came out of the box. Yeah.
Yep. Mine went
Yeah,
back
it
into the
wasn't
box. He went into
yeah,
a
it
little
wasn't
coffin.
I think like my what did you say?
He went
What did you
into a
say,
little
Dan?
coffin. You took him out of the box.
You
I was
just
putting him
went
into
into
a box, a pine box, and I was burying him in the backyard.
Yeah, I think my obsessions or my collections, they've always been practical. Like even like as I've gone, I've collected sneakers, like I've always worn them.
Mm.
Everything I've always done, like it's always had to be something that has practical use. I mean,
Yeah.
like even like the art I have, like I have to be okay with my dogs walking around it.
Hmm.
I
Right.
mean, it has to be okay that people can come in and experience it. I'm not like I'm not one who like puts like take the sneakers like I'm not wrapping them and like putting them on a shelf, for example. Like I have to be okay wearing them out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, otherwise I just for me it hasn't been I haven't personally wanted to have anything that's not that's so precious, even if it's valuable, that's so precious that I'm not okay with people being around it. Just my personal preference.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
then,
seems
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I do want to talk about your early career then, since you were drawing this line for us. We go from figurines to baseball cards to film. What did you do before that? Because we found some interesting stuff. We found G League time with the NBA. Was that?
Yeah.
Could you tell us about that? Because that's my dream. Before we get
Yeah.
into talking about this film.
Yeah. So I was going to school for film and but I was just so freaking broke
Hmm.
that I was like, I just I, I I just had no money at all. And so I was like, I need to start a business that's gonna generate something for me because I think the road here into film is gonna be impossible.
Hmm.
So I started a tech company, and while I was literally working at a little film studio as a PA. So these are in the days of like I couldn't even afford a cell phone, so I just had a beeper. And I was like, you can imagine, I was like, I'm on a beeper like I'm a drug dealer almost or something.
Hmm.
And going to get coffees and things and like anyway, I started this tech company and it kind of took off. So I dropped out of school and then ran that for 5 years, sold it, and then I did the thing that every kid I think would do, which is I bought a G League team.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. I
And
love
while
that.
I was kind of like looking at how to get into film, and I ran that for about 7 years,
Yeah.
and that was probably the ultimate obsession because I was essentially like the general manager and president of that team. I mean, I was like I ran that team like it was my own little NBA team.
Hmm. I
I love
saw,
this.
according to Wikipedia, which, can you trust it? Who knows? But I saw the
Mm.
attendance quite high for the Utah G League team, doing quite well in the G League during that
Yeah,
time.
yeah, we had pretty good attendance on that
People
team.
were like it. It is. Dan's more of an NBA guy than me, but I followed a little bit. But I'll occasionally watch 5 minutes of a G League game on NBA TV, and it is fascinating because like the Laker team appears to play in their practice facility, and there's about 12 people there, and they're kind of their
Yeah.
parents. So I assume there are different scales where then you guys were in like an arena, and there. So there's it's whole. Everybody has their own experience in the G League, I guess. And are you doing? Like, were you guys? And I'm maybe this is a dumb question, but were you guys affiliated like with the Jazz, or is there like a call promotion demotion kind of thing going on, like baseball,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah. We were affiliated with the Jazz and the Celtics.
Oh wow, okay.
Nice.
So I knew Danny Ainge a little bit, and he had some
Ooh,
ties to Utah. So we got to be affiliated with the Celtics, and that was in their championship era. So we got some of the young Celtics players. We actually had more Celtics players playing for us than we had Jazz players playing for us,
God.
which was pretty
Yeah.
fun.
it's
Two
probably a good
different
move, I
worlds.
imagine.
Yeah.
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 Oh my God.
Considering
So you
those
went
teams.
from holding, little figurines that you made fight.
Yeah.
And then you had little, people competing 5 on 5. And now you manage little actors, make them do what
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
seeing the through line. I just had a thought that I had a memory that my mother was a doctor, and she told me that anyone with a pager was a drug dealer in the 90s. And she was the only person I knew with a pager because she was always on call. And I was like, now it makes sense because she was dealing out those drugs to
Truly.
people
Truly.
who needed them. But
Dan, you a
just a
big
fun
NBA
fact.
fan?
I'm a big Cavs fan, and I followed LeBron. LeBron started when I was like 14, so I
Mm.
was following the Lakers for a little while too, and bouncing. And now the Cavs are good again. So I'm sort of a
Yeah.
fair weather NBA fan, but I do love the Cavs.
Yeah, look like they've got a team again.
Yeah, it's incredible. They're incredible to watch. Even when they lose, they're going at it. It was a 2 point game last night. I really enjoyed it, and everyone just stopped listening. But 'cause I don't know.
We're big in Cleveland.
Does anyone
People love
care about
hoops.
People love
Yeah, come
people
on.
love Cleveland.
It's a popular sport. I hear.
So what got you from those things to activism? Because I'm assuming, or was film first and then activism later? I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I guess it would help to give context to the listeners that your film that we're talking about today I think, has a message, an activist message, even though it is like an action thriller, which is what makes it great. So where
Yeah.
did that start? Was it that first or film first? Obviously, you were in school for film, but
Yeah, let me just say the name of the film is I Was a Stranger.
yes.
So So
I
at
didn't
the
say
age,
the name of the film because it was called A Stranger's Case in the
it
version
was,
we watched.
yeah,
I
the
will
version
cut
I
this,
sent you.
but I just wanted you to
Yeah,
know that's why I didn't introduce it. I wasn't sure.
yeah. I should have said that. It it changed. It changed when it went to
Yeah.
the distributor, as things happen sometimes. But um, so at the age of 11, I moved to France,
Hmm.
Mm.
and I moved to this school, and I went to this school, this French school, and I learned to speak French from French. So it wasn't like I went to an international school. And it was weird because we were sent into this school, and in this class there were probably like 30 kids, and of these kids there were like, there were some kids from Morocco, from Algeria, from Africa, there was like one kid from Finland. There was my sister and I, but we were the only Americans in this class. So like the girl from Finland was probably the only other kid that spoke any English.
Hmm.
And everybody spoke all these different languages. So we're all thrown into this public school in France, this class, and we're all taught to speak French from this French lady. So she holds up an apple and she says pomme, which means apple, and you're learning to speak French from just pure French. And you learn pretty fast. But the interesting thing was, like, in this class there were these Arab kids who had been banished from their country because of the politics of America, and they blamed us.
Hmm.
And they didn't like me very much for that. And what I figured out pretty quickly was, kind of the realities were that, for the first time in my life, I was experiencing other cultures. I grew up in Florida, but I was experiencing these other cultures in a way that was opening my eyes to things. And on kind of a daily basis, I was getting beat up by kids
Hmm.
because of my country, and not because of anything that I was doing. And so pretty quickly, I was trying to hide in the bathroom, and I weighed about, you said I maybe wasn't geeky because or a geek because I was unpackaging my GI Joes, but I probably weighed like 105 pounds. Like
Hmm.
I was a pretty geeky kid, but I was pretty fast, and I was pretty good at basketball. And so the way that I became friends with these kids was I started teaching them how to play basketball. And we became very close friends. And
Hmm.
and I realized, like, despite our differences, just in because of the countries that we grew up in, we had commonality in sports. And I realized, like, our similarities were they were far more, they brought us together far faster than our differences. And it was interesting because that was probably my first, like, foray into, like, okay, it does not matter where we come from, but we can come together far faster if we find other things that we have in common, like food or love or sports. And it just I just realized, like, there are these things that bring us together. And so I don't know. Ever since I was kind of young, I've just like tried to focus on those. I've ever since those moments, like, I've just felt a connection to other cultures that was far more intertwined than, I guess, the differences that we have. And that's kind of,
Hmm.
I guess, maybe my first like kind of entrance into activism.
Yeah.
But there's nothing really that funny about that. But
Well,
that is kind of that
well, I'll
is
tell you
kind of the
something
story.
funny. You're getting bullied in other countries for what George Bush is doing.
Yeah.
I'm getting bullied back in Ohio for being like a Dennis Kucinich Democrat, and it's basically the same as it feels right now, where you're like, "Well, this is wrong. Where are the weapons of mass destruction? We
Yeah.
shouldn't be in Iraq." And like, just these conservative kids being like, you should get off the football team." And I'm like, "This is weird. What a weird time."
Well,
But none of
it's a
them spoke
testament.
French, so it wasn't cool.
it's a
Right.
testament to Brandt because I feel like that story is often how a supervillain is born. They go to a
Yeah,
new
that's
world and they
true.
get bullied. So
Mr.
you were able to
Glass.
see the other side, and it
I'm
also
like,
feels like that's like early learnings of directing, right? Is you're kind of teaching the game of basketball and learning to work with other people, and also obviously in those, empathy is grown in those types of
yeah,
moments. I imagine in those teaching and learning and kind of getting together. And I do think there's a. I know we won't get into too many details of the movie, but there's a great empathy to the movie and any good art, I guess. But even like watching the movie before looking you up, the first thought when I look you up is I go, "You're telling me a fucking white guy made this movie?" But then but
yeah,
then you do some of the research and you do some of the looking up, and you can see how there's so much. I don't know. It's just earnest. There's so much
Hmm.
authenticity to it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
and then also I had a question. This is always my question about movies like this, even though you can respond to what Zach just said, is that every time I watch a movie like this, I'm like, how did they get the language right? Like, how do they get past the language barrier? There's so many movies made by Italian filmmakers that are in English. There are Mexican filmmakers in English. There's English people. How do you get past that barrier? And it's like it sounded like it started when you were 11, that it was already some kind of communicating with other kids. Was that through the French school? Was that, do you have people you hire? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, I speak a couple languages. I'm fluent in French and Spanish, and then which gives me the advantage of like understanding the kind of the intonations of language.
Mm-hmm.
And then I spent quite a bit of time trying to learn Arabic and learning kind of the same flow of how Arabic works.
Mm-hmm.
And and like also having very talented Syrian translators on set who sitting next to me who say like, no, that didn't sound quite right, to make sure everything is incredibly authentic and how like we did the film, to make sure like we had a lot of Syrian actors, but to make sure that like the doctor who was Lebanese like when she would speak, it would come off sounding Syrian and not Lebanese. Because for
I see.
me, as a white director from America, I never wanted it to like I can't, my ear is not trained to say, okay, that sounds exactly like Syrian and not Jordanian Arabic. And I never wanted to. I don't want. It's like imagine the difference between American English and British English. And I never want any. I would never want an Arab speaker to say that sounds. That sounds like it's not Syrian. I wanted every word to sound Syrian.
Right.
So having a Syrian translator sitting next to me to say, "Hey, no, that didn't. She missed on that word. Okay, well, let's redo it."
Right. And I should pause here and tell the listener, because I'm assuming a lot of people will not have seen the movie while they're listening to this podcast. We'd call this like an ensemble film about war torn areas, about migrants trying to get to the United States or to Greece and then
Yeah,
to Chicago.
yeah, yeah. And then like the way that the film is set up, like it's set up kind of in these sort of segments where in each section of the film, the protagonist of each section of the film becomes the background in every other segment of the film, so that
Mm-hmm.
um, the doctor in one segment becomes the background in the next segment. So you're seeing these different like views of each section of the film, so that you can kind of understand the different ways that people are seeing things in every part of the film.
So what was the sorry, Zach. What was the germ of the idea to get to that script? Was it one person's story? Was it
Yeah, so it started. I was going over to it started by me just going over to places like Greece and Turkey. I bet I was going over there trying to help refugees any way that I could. I probably went to Greece over 20 times, Turkey probably 30 plus times. I was doing I did film camps in Jordan. Um, I was just trying to go and find ways that I could help because after the what was called the Arab Spring, which was this uprising that happened in the Arab world, I just was very moved by what was going on. In the US, we had this, in the same kind of time period, we were having this financial meltdown, but
Hmm.
we weren't rebelling against our leaders. In the Arab world, they were having a financial meltdown and they were rebelling against their leaders. And like in places like Tunisia and Egypt, they were throwing their leaders out of power. And in places like Jordan, their leaders stepped in and brought everybody in and then calmed everybody down. In a place like Syria, people started like rebelling, and their leaders started committing genocide against his own people.
Hmm.
Um, it's the one place where people started fleeing. They started, I mean, by the millions, they started being displaced, and then of course it led to him gassing his own people. It led to just incredible acts of horror against his own people. And I just found from a purely a human perspective, I just was like, how could someone do this to anyone, much less their own people? And so I felt the need to find a way to help, and this is what came of it.
Hmm.
So these stories were stories that I heard from people kind of along the way that I was trying to help. And then of course, they were true stories, but then I wove them together in a way that worked for this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought a lot of very interesting narrative choices, storytelling choices that I thought really worked and were engrossing. I do think, I don't know, I think one of the interesting things or one of the really successful things about the movie is that it works on multiple levels, right? It's an entertaining, well
Hmm.
acted, well shot. Honestly, I am curious as to some of the action sequences because
Yep.
I don't know the budget, but I assume it wasn't the biggest budget in the world. So pulling those things off, but on top of that is the fact that it's all real and it's all based on stuff that's really happening. And I don't know. To me, always some of the most effective stuff. Like I have a vague awareness of what's going on in the world. I read the Times from time to time, but seeing it in you really, it's like I think it's Ebert or whatever said like movies are like empathy machines, and you really see just the reality, and you can really feel and understand more what's going on
Hmm.
um, in that part of
Yeah.
the world in ways that I wouldn't have
Yeah.
otherwise. Yeah, I don't really have
Well,
a question
thanks.
there, but it's true.
Well, I think, one of the things that I think is interesting about just like about what you guys talk about and obsessing about things is like
Hmm.
I got so obsessive about this topic.
Hmm.
And even, I mean, I produced a lot of movies, but this is the first full feature that I had directed. And the way in which I directed it, because it follows all these different stories, and the way in which it follows all these different stories, it's kind of obsessive because
Hmm.
I was doing these long shots, and then because it's following every story, and then you're looking at the different stories from a different lens in each other story. So making sure that like as you're seeing the background of these stories from another side, it has to be absolutely perfect, or there become these huge holes in it. um like I was
Hmm.
completely obsessive about this as I went.
Hmm.
And like the movies that I loved growing up were like these movies that had these massive Easter eggs in them so that you would want to go back and watch them later on
Right.
and like and say like, okay, I missed that. Like what was in that I didn't see? Like, I saw this, like a movie that I would have seen like 10 times or 50 times. Like there are movies like if you think of like the Michael Douglas movie, The Game, which has a
Sure.
ton. Remember that movie
Yeah.
that has like all those weaving in and out, and you're like, what did I miss?
Hmm.
Like tricky movies like that where you're like, my gosh, there's so many cool things in that movie. Like if you watch this movie 10 times, you'll keep finding things that are in the background that
Right.
are Easter eggs that are hidden in it. And
Right.
so, I mean, it's obsessive. So it
Would you
fits.
say, are you, as a director, as your first film, I guess, but are you say you're obsessive? And like, I went to film school for about 12 minutes at
Mhm.
the University of New Orleans, and they started talking about lenses. And I was like, I think I'll just do stand up. So are you like, are you get into that stuff? Is that something that you really, you get a kick out of? I don't
Yeah,
know,
are you a
framing a shot, all
gearhead?
that stuff.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Not as much.
Yeah.
No. No, I had such a great DP that
That's
I
what they
let
say,
him.
right? Get a good DP. That's what
I
they
had
all
such
say.
a great
Yeah.
DP.
Yeah.
I had one of the best DPs in the world.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I didn't have to get into that too much.
So I was thinking the thing that saves it from being uh, a cornier movie, for lack of a better way of framing it, is
Hmm.
that you wrote in, yes, there's these obsessive, like, I am looking for, I'm looking in all these different directions because it is like, I'm worried that people are just going to die at any second.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it like a good action thriller. But
There's a
also,
world, just real quick, there's a
yeah,
world where it's Crash. Let's be honest.
that's what I'm saying. That's
There's a world where we're watching Crash.
that is
And we were not. Yes.
we were
Yeah, yeah,
not.
yeah.
And that is what I was thinking of.
And not the
But
one about
Yeah.
people get
It
horny
didn't
at car
it
accidents.
didn't it didn't
Yeah.
hold up. Yeah, it didn't hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but the one that sticks out to me is the smuggler because it is giving valid reasons for why this man might act like a monster. And in
Yeah.
fact, you see people acting in ways that they wouldn't say they would act because of desperation. So there's there and I think that stems from the fact that people sort of die senselessly when they're migrating in an unsafe way. People are drowning, people are getting shot, people are getting mugged for money. They were slipping under the table. And so to me, that's what's endearing about this portrait of it is that it is not a there's not one kid with like teary eyes who are fighting for because we know he's going to make it. That would like Disneyfy the migrant story. And so I just wondered, did anyone try to stop you, or were you just like, this is my baby, this guy is going to be a bad guy? It's that actor from The Untouchables who I'm assuming is like a nice man, but
Yeah.
he
I mean, he
plays a
mostly plays
badass.
nice. Mostly plays nice characters.
Yes, yes.
And he was like the first actor to sign on for this. It's interesting because I had met with a West African smuggler on
Whoa.
the banks of the Aegean Sea. And we had pizza together. And here, this is a topic. This is a
Pizza
topic
together.
like, yeah, I mean, and it's a topic. These are people that I care so much about. And
Yeah.
like, we're literally sitting there, like looking out at the Aegean Sea, and we're like, it was hard to get a meeting with. I see that he has a pistol under his shirt. And I'm like, and I'm thinking like, what do I have in common with this guy? I mean, I love the people that he's sending to their death.
Hmm.
And it was arranged by this kind of shady Turkish guy that and I had to pay the guy to meet with me. And like I'm like, what do I have in common with this guy? And I just start talking to him, and I'm like, tell me about yourself. And he was very open and honest, which is something I appreciated. But what I found that we had in common was we both had a son who was almost the same age.
Hmm.
And this guy, he loved his son, and I love my son. And one thing that we did have in common was that we both felt we worked too much and we were away from our son too much.
Hmm.
And here I was in Turkey, and I wished I was back home with my son at his baseball game. And he felt like he worked too much and was away from his son. He was a single dad. And he allowed me a window into that. And his son was sick. And I was able to get into that an understanding of that with him. And he let me in there. And while I detest what he did for a living, um, his point was like, if I don't do it, someone else will.
Hmm.
And and I think what I like, I don't believe people are one dimensional. I just don't believe it. Like if I try to live a pretty open and honest like life. I try to be very open with even strangers. I just try to be a very open person. But but if you think that I'm like I'm all good, I'm not. I'm not all good. Like there's certainly a saint side to me that I always want to be a saint. But
Mm.
I am also a sinner. And while I try to always be the best version of the person that I am because that is who I want to be. There are moments where if you push the wrong buttons, despite all the counseling and therapy that I do, you know, the sinner is going to come out in me.
Right. That's just being a
And
dad,
it's
I
yeah,
think.
and
Yeah.
for this guy, and he's a very likable person. For me, like there was a lot to like about this guy, but he's what he does is detestable. And you know, if he did something else, you might like him. And
Hmm.
interestingly, when we were doing like testing for the film, oftentimes that was the character that came up as the most likable character in the film.
Hmm.
Like when people could like do it privately, they were liking him the most. And
Yep.
I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a
I mean,
It's the kid.
fascinating,
it's the
yeah.
kid. It's the
Yeah.
kid, and he's got a cough, and you worry about the kid, and because we know somebody ends up in Chicago eventually, that they're dreaming of leaving and going to Chicago, and I just sat there thinking about like, yeah, what would I do? What would I do if I had someone depending on me and I needed to get out of where I was? And it
Yeah.
seems like everybody would be in the same situation.
Oh,
They'd be
I would have died right away. But the and I don't know if we I don't want it to be a spoiler or anything. We can edit it out. But the raft, the stabbing, did that come from this guy? Was that a anecdote that he shared?
It was
Uh,
both an anecdote that he had shared, but also something that I heard from refugees.
okay.
Um, but interestingly, the way that it came from him was there was a raft that was sitting on the when we were sitting there eating. There was a raft that was sitting on the in the sand on the Aegean right there, and there was this sandy area, and it had a slash in it. And I asked him because I had heard it from refugees that that they were telling people to knife their rafts when they were out on the Aegean when they saw the Coast Guard, because the Coast Guard would sometimes just say turn around or go back to Turkey. And I asked him, I said, do you tell refugees to knife do you give them a knife and tell them to knife the raft? And he said, yeah, all the time.
my God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time.
It is terrifying. Definitely, even like as a baseball fan, you hear stories about guys coming from Cuba, and
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
is just all terrifying. Just the
Yeah.
whole way all that stuff works.
Overloaded boats
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
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 That's yeah.
Well, when you look at it's interesting because when you look at the trip from where these guys were, and we were doing like we filmed on the I mean we were filming right on the Aegean. In
Okay.
fact, I mean we like none of that was in a tank. You hear about Hollywood movies filming in a tank, like
Hmm.
not us. We our movie was like a little $6 million movie. We were filming right on the Aegean. And at one point we were
Mm.
like stopped by the Turkish Coast Guard who was like radioing into our boat. Our boat was dressed like a Greek Coast Guard boat, and they were like in their destroyer, and they're like Greek Coast Guard ship, move back into into Greek waters, and I'm like,
Oh
we're
my
about to
God.
find out if our permit's real or not. But I mean, unfortunately, it was. But like we were on the water the entire time.
Wow.
Um, but we were on the waters where I saw like we were on the beach where I saw people being smuggled. We were on the waters where people were going across. That crossing is as short as like 4 miles.
Hmm.
from Turkey where we were to Greece.
Wow.
There that of course the Cuba crossing much longer, and there
Hmm.
are areas where like they cross from like Libya over to Italy, um where it can be like 55, 60 miles. And I've been in that crossing too, and that's much, I mean, they're all dangerous depending on what time of year and the waves. Like, I mean, if there are waves at all, a mile could be dangerous. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm a great swimmer, and I'm good on the water, and I couldn't do a mile in it. You couldn't do 100
Yeah.
feet in it if it's really bad.
Yeah.
But there are some, there have been accidents where literally in one crossing, 1,000 people have been killed on one
Yeah.
boat.
Jesus.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, 1,000 people. So,
And this was all. I'm happy you brought up shooting on the Aegean. This was all
Hmm.
location shooting. It appeared right in the
Hmm.
real
oh yeah.
places.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
My
All
gosh.
real location
So,
shooting. Yeah.
uh, yeah, I only know this from the Jaws log, that book about filming Jaws. That filming on the
Yeah.
water is
Yeah.
the toughest thing, and they wish they could go back in time and not shoot so much on the water. Was that the hardest stuff to get, or what was the? Because it looked like a lot of this was challenging to film.
Yeah. Well, the water, there were two really tough parts. The hardest days were the water shoots, because even though it was in we shot them in June, it was still freezing cold on the water because it's all at night. So we were like trying to heat water and then pipe it in.
Hmm.
Even though we had them in wetsuits underneath their what they were wearing, it was still freezing cold. And in fact, I was in the water so much, and I was not in a wetsuit because I didn't know how much I would be in the water. But I lost both of my big toenails
Oh.
to picked up of some fungus, and
Ugh.
lost both of my big toenails, which are still not totally healed
Oh
Ugh.
and
God.
recovered years later. But so
My
I have a
God.
few I have a few residual effects from the film that linger.
No,
That's one of them.
you give for your art, man.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You have to give for
Yeah.
your art. That's
Those are
right.
important toenails too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Big
That's
ones.
Aesthetically.
right. Turf
I don't
toe.
need a pinky
Yeah.
toenail.
Turf toe.
I don't need it.
Aegean toe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll give it a new name on the show
So,
here.
while we're on the subject of where you shot the Aleppo scenes, you are you filming in? This is all I know of the conflict. There is that Assad left in 2024. Are you filming
Yeah.
before that happens?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, but we weren't
Okay.
in Aleppo. We were in
Right,
Jordan.
I know that. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Jordan. Yes, but I
Yeah.
was still thinking about like, does it? I was thinking about, does this ruffle any feathers? Because I feel silly sitting here and being like, well, I don't like Assad. I'm glad that this guy with his, I'm not. I don't want to spoil anything, but like, I'm glad this person gets their comeuppance and this person changes their mind, and we're all on the same page that we're against Assad in this film. But I don't
Yeah.
know if you felt like you were doing that. And the thing that was coming to my mind, and is another question I want to ask you about, maybe not worse movies, but movies that maybe don't have anything political to say. All I kept thinking about was in the new Top Gun, they just like made up a country so that they were like, it's a vague Eastern European country that's sort of
Right,
by the
right,
ocean, but it's also
right,
sort of not. And we just don't want to piss off Putin because we need people to see this film like all over the
right,
world. And just the
right.
second I saw Assad's face, I was like, oh, we're just saying like this sucks, and it's this guy who did this. And so I was like blown away by that. But I wondered, yes, you're filming before he flees. Are you worried about ruffling any feathers at any point in this movie with anything that you're saying?
So, interestingly, so I did a short version of this film, and it got shortlisted for an Academy Award. After I did that film, I got put on. I didn't know this until because after I did that film, I went into Syria, which was still being under siege by the war. But I didn't know this until I went in. But I actually got put on a list in Syria by Assad that an imprisonment list that if I
Mm,
was to enter Syria, that I should be captured and put in prison. I didn't know that until after I came out, but that did
jeez.
happen.
Yeah.
So so yeah, when Assad got overthrown, and the film tries to stay, although the film doesn't really mention Assad at all. It stays very non-political, although
Hmm.
it's pretty clear on where that it's pretty clear that the film is pro the people, very
Hmm.
clear that it's pro people. But when Assad got overthrown, I mean, that was one of the happiest days that I can remember having
Hmm.
in my entire life. I mean, in fact, I got messages from so many people that were in the film saying how happy they were
Hmm.
of what had taken place, and how the film has just lifted their spirits. And now, like, I have an invite to go and meet with the new president of Syria. I haven't taken it up, but I didn't think I'd ever be able to go back to Syria
Right.
given the film status. So I hope after the release of the film, I'll get to go to Damascus, which I never thought I would.
Yeah.
I
You have
I
to
do
make sure you're
think.
not on that list again
Yeah,
before you go.
Yeah, I
Before
would
you go.
double
yeah,
check. I would double
yeah,
check next time. Yeah. I that is one of the yeah, it's like obviously your point of view I think is pretty clear, but it is you're just really telling the stories. There's no as you said, no heavy-handed, no once again to go
Hmm.
back to Crash. No
yeah.
none of that bullshit, which I is one of the more impactful. I felt formatting wise it reminded me of Traffic. No, I've never seen Traffic. But I felt like from what I've heard of Traffic, it was
Is that true?
similarly
You've never seen Traffic?
I have to see it. I've it's on my queue. But as I was watching, I was like, oh, I think this is like
This
Traffic.
movie reminds me of the trailer of a movie that I
Yeah,
saw.
yeah, yeah. I've heard it jumps around. I hear it's grainy, which is different than your look, but uh, absolutely. I was like, maybe this is a dumb, and we can wrap up here soon. And this is maybe just a dumb film nerd or question, but something like the sequence that's in kind of the first act of the movie, the bombing. What is the? I assume once again we're shooting that not on a set. What's the
Yeah.
strategy? What's the game planning? How do we? Because it looks. I mean, it's a very cinematic sequence and effective.
Yeah. So most of the movie is shot in these long one shots. In fact, like I had one shot that we shot where we're out on the boat, and we did it in an 8 minute shot. I trimmed it down to like 4.5 minutes, where the
Wow.
captain we start on the captain, and then he ends up rescuing the refugees out on the boat. All very real, all Syrians. One lady told me she had tried to make that crossing 8 times. The and like it's crazy. I trimmed it because it just felt a little too long, but like that bombing shot, we follow the women into the room. They light the candle. It never cuts away. It goes all the way in, and then boom, we cut to a bomb. Um, the whole point of the way that I want these shots to work is to bring you into the action of what it would feel like to be there in a very obviously safe environment. Um, it's not the first time a movie's done that. It's very similar to like Children of Men, if you haven't ever seen that film, but it's like a Children of Men has done
Hmm.
more so than like a Crash. Um,
Yeah,
and
I was going to bring up that movie first, by the way, because we
yeah,
talked about it on this
yeah.
podcast.
That
And
one I've seen.
that is a movie about humanizing migrants and refugees.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
In
point.
yeah,
in the context of a sci-fi thriller, and that's my pitch for anyone who is on the fence about seeing this movie, is that it is
yeah,
an action thriller, but it is about
yeah.
humanizing refugees.
It's more of like an homage to how they shot Children of Men than it is to
Hmm.
probably any other film. And very hard to do it's shooting only in third world countries with mostly non-actors, as we found out.
Mm.
But once the DP and I committed to it, like we stuck with it, and we learned on the first day. Like the first day, we did like 26 takes on that first shot, and we were like, this is gonna be a long like 34 days of shooting, but we'll figure it out, and we did. it made it feel very real, I hope. And what I want is just viewers to go in and feel what people feel, and whatever they feel is perfect. And whether you feel empathy, or you just feel you take something from one story, like I just wanted people to go back and feel what I felt as a kid when I went in and saw a powerful movie that made a difference in my life.
Hmm.
And if it changes people just a little bit and inspires people a little bit to do something, anything, then it was like that was all that was intended. And just to have a powerful movie going experience. And it is a better experience in the theater than it is just seeing it at home. This is one that's better to see in the theater than at home. Not because it's like an Avatar scale film, but because if you can put your phone away, which is just so much easier to do in a theater than it is at home, then you're going to have a better experience seeing the film. I mean,
Hmm.
that is my feeling of it. That's why I'm like so happy that it's being released in on like 2,500 screens across the US. It will be in
Hmm.
every it's going to be in every city in the United States.
Hmm.
So,
That is exciting. Well, Dan's right too.
yeah.
It is like we were saying, the children in comp. It works on multiple levels. It is just it would be a fun movie to see in the theater. Now, we always ask to end what advice you would give to somebody to get into your topic. We can go back to figurines if you want, but that seems lame. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
do that. Go to a toy store. But if somebody, let's talk. Maybe if you want to talk about activism, or just to be more
Yeah.
informed on things.
I mean, I think it's just passion. I
Hmm.
For me it's passion. If I see, for me, if I feel passionately about something, then I want to go hard into it. And I won't stop. Like, I will research, I'll dive in, I'll call anyone, I'll ask for favors. I'm not afraid to hear no. I'm not afraid to have doors closed on me. I'm not afraid to just keep going at it, and just find, it's the same thing that, like, I talk to my kids about. It's like, just find something that you really feel deeply in your heart. And I guess just ask yourself, what is it that you feel, if this is, if whether it's filmmaking, or it's like activism, like, what do you really feel passionately about? Or it's figurines, that's fine, or it's art.
Hmm. Hmm.
What do you really feel passionately about? And then just let yourself go in it. And like, that's enough, because you'll I think you'll find your way there. And I happen to I bounced around for a long time in other things, but it was once I really got in, once I found my way into filmmaking, and the place that I really wanted to be was writing and directing. I'm like, I feel at home now. And it's very easy for me to lose myself in it, and but I feel very good at it. And it doesn't, I would do it, I do I do it for free. I mean, I'm it's like, it's easy to do it for free because I love to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to do it for enough to, like, kind of keep the Christmas lights on.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, next time we'll have you come tell us about the 10 days in Haiti that I read about,
Yeah.
because it just seems like you're finding places that you're like, where could I do the most good, and just keep flying there and seeing if you can do something. Am I getting that right? Do people
Yeah.
just
I
do
like
that?
to I like to find places where I feel like I can feel meaning in this world. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it makes me feel like this crazy world has purpose to me. So, yeah. Yeah, I like to feel that feeling in my life.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Zach, did we get to all of your?
Oh
Is
yeah.
there anything else you want to? Okay.
No, yeah.
That's
Are
It
there
was
any
great.
other nuanced questions? You want my
well. No, I
latest
just am
obsession?
always.
What's your latest obsession?
Yeah,
I mean, my latest obsession is I had a friend send me a 1971 AM General Jeep a few weeks ago,
oh wow.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
and my son and my 18-year-old son and I are just like tinkering on it nonstop.
Oh my God.
And we are
Good
just
for you.
like, yeah, we are like nonstop on this thing.
That's your West Coast East Coast difference right there. Is just being able to have that car. That's cool. Yeah, the parking alone, my God.
Yeah.
No, that was great. I appreciate it very much, Brent.
Yeah.
And we both. Where is it playing in New York?
It's in January, right? We're gonna.
In January? I mean, I
Yeah,
could look it up.
January
But,
9th. Yeah, January
Yeah.
9th. I don't know the theaters, but it'll be in a
okay,
bunch of theaters. I mean,
that's awesome.
when it's 2,500 theaters, it'll be in theaters everywhere. So
Yeah.
it won't be hard to find.
That's yeah. Dan and I were talking before. Just we don't know anything when somebody asks if you want to talk to this guy's movie. You kind of just assume it's going to suck ass. So to see it. And like, oh, this is a real movie, and it's very good. So it was
That
very.
That's why I
That
said
was my first
that's why I said you guys should watch it first and make sure you want to have
yes.
me on. So,
Yeah. No, it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you to Brandt Andersen. You can see I Was a Stranger in theaters in January. Dan, I heard over 2,500 theaters or screens. Either
That's what
way.
I heard in the podcast that we just did.
Absolutely, it'll be everywhere. So, and you'd be a fool not to see it, and you're not a fool. Dan, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Dan Wilbur on TikTok, on Instagram. You can find me every single week at Young Ethel's in Park Slope. We have a show. It's called We Have Fun. Zach's there. I'm there. It's fun.
We have it together, and so can you. I am on social media at TikTok, Zach Sims Comedy, Instagram, also Zach Sims. Every Wednesday, the big We Have Fun QED, December 13th. That's right. Strap in, strap on, and until then, see ya, hobby holers.